Social inclusion and acceptance is a value we all look for in life, and people with disability and aged care seniors are no different. SpecialCare Central's mission is to help this community find the resources, opportunities and capabilities to live a fulfilled life as part of the community. With an estimated 7.5 million seniors and people with disability nationally, it is now their choice to select what service benefits their quality of life. Be it travelling the world or getting involved in sport and social activities, the options that are available will be shown through community news stories. No matter what is required to improve quality of life, there is a service available. Nationally, Channel 7 reached 22 million consumers in 8.5 million homes. The estimated target audience for the Care Central TV programme is in the hundreds of thousands. Connection to the archived television programmes and other valuable content will be available online to bring greater possibilities for choice of service and social inclusion.
Hello, I'm Kathy Davis. Welcome to Care Central TV, a program especially developed for people with disabilities, seniors, carers and families. Our hope is to provide you with important information related to support services and companies which provide assistance to the special needs community. In this program, we'll be speaking to Peter Negri from ClubMates Travel, Tony Gregory from Aussie Lifts, Rebecca Bellis about wheelchair awareness, and Robert Galea from the Foundation for Independence, Recreation and Social Training. We'll also be getting an update on the National Disability Insurance Scheme. But first up, let's find out how this program came about from a person who has devoted a lot of her time to the community with special needs, Yvonne Campbell from SpecialCare Central.
It started way back in '89, basically, when my mother was first diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. 8 years after that, she was admitted to a nursing home and her joints had become stiff. And the nursing staff said to me, "We need you to cut Mother's dresses up the back for ease of dressing." Now, I had no idea there was any change of anybody and their body and the limitations of bodies, whether it's disability or just stiffness of joints. Long story short, I ended up creating a clothing line, which is the adaptive clothing for people with limited mobility. Started then going to networking groups, seniors and people with disability network groups, and started to realise that there was an awful lot of services out there and did wonder how people find these services. So 5 years ago I started a Disability Awareness Expo and 35 service providers together talking to each other. I realised that even service providers didn't know about some of the other services available. And I thought, well, if they don't know, how's the community going to know? And it is from there that the idea and the dream came apart. Well, why don't we have a central portal where people's information can be stored and the community can go to the one central point to find these services? I did realise that each service provider had their own database, which is great because if I can steer the community that need that service to that service provider, they can then provide an extended service as well. So it's a networking information centre where everybody's going to be benefit.
You like to call it a portal?
I do call it a portal because it's a portal where information is found. People can start to share because we also have a forum on site where people can talk one-on-one with each other as well. And it is a portal, it's the central hub.
So essentially it started with your mother's illness, your clothing line, the charity, which started as a non-profit but has since become a proper fully fledged charity, the online web presence And now, Care Central TV.
That's correct, yes, absolutely.
Yvonne will be back a little later in the program to talk with us about her range of adaptive clothing. Going on an overseas holiday, or even one within Australia, presents a number of challenges for people with a disability. But one company here in Australia is proud to be able to assist anyone with a disability in the creation and enjoyment of their perfect holiday. To find out more, here's David speaking with Peter Negri from ClubMates Travel.
ClubMates Travel specialises in organising holidays for people with a wide range of disabilities. What makes ClubMates different from a regular travel agent?
So a regular travel agent, what they do is they just book flights, accommodation and activities. Well, that sounds great, but for us, because of the people we travel with and they need their assistance when they're travelling, we need to go into more detail. And what I mean by that is, when we go into more details, we try and find out what the disability is, what level of assistance they need, and then we tailor-make the holiday around that. So we might have someone that's in a wheelchair and they can't use a standard motel room. So we'll actually do the research to find out which motel room suits and which doesn't. We look at airlines as well. So which are the best airlines to work with, which ones to fly with, where should we seat them on the plane. So we've got lots of little parts of the puzzle. Activities. There's all different types of activities that can and sometimes are a bit of a challenge at times to get them to gate on. So we look at all the parts of the puzzle. So when we're making our bookings, it's rather than just sit on a computer and make a booking, we generally phone every hotel, airline, activity place, meals, same thing. We phone them up to make sure that our passengers are going to be comfortable.
I like that phrase, part of the puzzle. Another part of the puzzle might be support. How do you offer support?
So our level of support we look at in a specific way. So when someone contacts us, we actually fill in what we call a pre-tour questionnaire. The pre-tour questionnaire details what level of support they require. And then from that level of support, we can tailor-make it. So we have the right holiday with the right level of support. So support, for instance, can be a one-on-one, which means one support staff to one passenger, or we might have a 1 to 6, so it's one support staff to 6 passengers. We can go to a 2-on-1, which is 2 support staff, 1 passenger. We can have active nights, because we've got passengers that travel us with not just wheelchairs, that's not just a disability. We can have people with behavioural problems, it can be autism, it can be Down syndrome, it can be any manner. It can be an acquired brain injury, it can be any manner of disability, or someone that just needs some support, someone who wants you to hold their hand when they go away. We've done many trips where we've travelled overseas and there's really no disability there, they're just getting maybe a little bit aged and they just want someone to take the stress out of it for them.
Okay.
That's what we can do.
And that helps to answer my next question, which was you not only do it in Australia, you do go overseas as well.
Yeah, we travel all over Australia. We've got a full-size coach, a 42-seater coach. The overseas work, when we booked that, we've actually just had a guy come back and he went to South Africa with us last year. This guy is about 6'4", so quite a big guy, over 100 kilos. He needed 2 support crew to help him move and get around. He can't feed himself, he can't ambulate at all. So we designed the whole holiday around him doing his dream holiday, which was going to South Africa and look at the animals. We had such a good report when it came back. His mother phoned me up when we got back and she said, Peter, Stephen had such a wonderful holiday. You know, he didn't sleep for 2 days after he got home. That's a pretty good thing to do.
It is. And is that pretty typical of the feedback that you get?
Yeah, very, very much so.
Sounds like you have some wonderful tours. How does somebody organise a tour with you?
It's very simple. We've got a really good website, clubmatestravel.com. You can jump on there. All the holidays are sitting there. We've also got access to Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, so you can access us through all of those. Or you can just do it via email, info@clubmatestravel.com, or give us a ring, the old-fashioned way, 1300 158 003, and you get one of our friendly travel agents. They'll actually step you through the process if you phone up. If you want to go on the website, we'll call you back. You can contact us any way you like.
Some people still like the old-fashioned way, don't they?
It works very well.
Start planning that holiday now. Thanks, David. If you're looking for meaningful training and developmental opportunities for a family member who has a disability, perhaps this next organisation, or one like it, is something that you should investigate. I recently had the opportunity to visit the first Support and Education Centre at Eagleby in Logan City, Queensland, and I spoke with General Manager Robert Galea about the organisation and the training opportunities they provide. Robert, what is FIRST and what's the purpose of the organisation?
FIRST is the Foundation for Independence, Recreation and Social Training. We're a disability support provider, but we're also a registered training organisation. So our focus is really on the development of life skills. We have a number of Cert 1 and Cert 2 courses that help us meet those goals, and we also provide one-on-one support in the community.
How long have you been operating and how many support workers do you have?
FIRST has been going for just over 20 years. We've actually been out here in Eagleby for about 6. And we have just over 50 support workers.
How do you go about providing the training programs?
Okay, we work very much on an individual program basis, so we will sit down with that individual and their family, work through their goals, and from that we'll develop a program and work through that program, and then we basically measure our progress against those goals on a weekly basis.
And how do you measure that success?
It obviously depends on the goal itself, but mostly it is about developing life skills, so we will be looking for progress in certain areas. For example, that might be social interactions, it might be learning how to cook an egg, boil an egg, it could be a range of different options.
And this is Jonathan, who has been coming to FIRST for about 7 years, and his support worker, Krista. Krista's one of his support workers, and he's currently working on an art program. Is that his favourite
His favourite thing to do would be the art program.
Yeah.
And after that, close second would be the horticulture,
Yeah.
and working with the plants out there, planting, repotting. Jono, he's really good. He loves all those things. He also does involved in the cooking program here.
Has FIRST made a really big difference to Jonathan's program?
It's just enhanced his whole life. A lot of positive things coming from Jono.
So you'd say that FIRST really is a great enhancement to
FIRST is
life?
wonderful. I've been here 11 years. I can't say enough about them.
Fantastic.
I love it. I love all our members, the staff, everybody's wonderful, and we've done a lot of really good work with them.
This is great, Jono.
Don't you, mate? You want to stick that one on? Excellent.
This program that we see behind you,
Yeah.
how does that work, and what goals are you trying to achieve?
Okay, the fruit and veg program we've had running for at least 10 years now. We buy the fruit and veg in bulk and we box it. So that involves weighing it, counting it, preparing it basically, and then selling in retail boxes. We sell those boxes on for about $15, and if it's local, we deliver for free. We're looking at an excursion out to the Ipswich Train Museum. That's a big one with a couple of members here.
I'm only going to go on the train this Monday.
Yes, James is actually going on the train this Monday. And we've counted the stations in between Beenleigh and South Bank, which is 23. So he's looking forward to that. Thanks, James.
If you'd like to know more about the training services available, you can visit the FIRST website at www.firstserviceinc.net. Well, this next story should give you a lift, quite literally in fact. Aussie Lifts is a family-owned Australian company specialising in the design and manufacture of lifts for seniors and people with mobility restraints. Here's David with Tony Gregory from Aussie Lifts.
I'm with Tony Gregory from Aussie Lifts, and Aussie Lifts specialises in mainly lifts and elevators for those with a disability. Can you explain some of that to us and how you work?
Look, what we do is all of our lifts are custom made. So we build them here in Brisbane. We manufacture them here in our factory. So it's a case of we look at the person's needs, manufacture the lifts to their needs. We stand them here in the factory, test them, and then we either say directly install them ourselves from anything from Maryborough down to Coffs Harbour, and then we sell them throughout to other lift companies in Australia.
What special designs do you tend to incorporate into your elevators?
Okay, what we do is we try and assess. So for us, we like things to be personalised. So we have a look at the actual needs of the person that's using the elevator. So that could be as to whether their wheelchair needs to fit into the lift. If their walking frame, it could be, say, their weight capacity. You have some people that, disabled doesn't mean it's automatically for wheelchair use. So you've got to look at, say, other aspects. It could be like if they're blind or they're deaf, they may need more visual indications or lights. If you are in a wheelchair, you use, say, sensors. So if you've got minimal arm use, you can go up to the sensor and that will actually send a message to the elevator and the elevator will operate by those signals. So for us, you know, there's nothing worse than putting a lift in and then find out that the person can't operate it or that they just can't fit inside of it.
Your company is providing a service that's great for people that don't want to move out of their homes, isn't it?
Definitely, and what we're doing is we've looked at, for years we've just been involved in the elevator industry, but we're also seeing that there's thresholds, there's ramps that are needed, there's some of those that you need portable lifts, so we have a lift that you can actually transport in the back of a vehicle. And
because you're an Aussie-owned company, do you find that's a benefit because people come to you because you're Australian?
Definitely. Look, there's a whole heap of ticks for being Australian made. So you've got your short delivery time. Yes, we custom make. You can come here and you can touch and you can feel. So you know exactly what you're getting. You know, even during the process of the lift being built, if you want reassurance, you can come here and then see what stage your lift is up to.
So Aussie Lifts is not necessarily about building a lift or an elevator into an old home. You can do it with new homes as well.
So if it's in new constructions, you know, we can work off the house plans and then work out the best style of lift in coordination with either the architect or the homeowner or the builder. For others, like if you've got an existing house, what we do is we go out, do a site measure, check with all the details that are required. We come back, we then do the whole quotation, send out drawings and that go with it, as well as a list of the associated works. There's nothing worse than having a look at, say, having a price for an elevator and then not understanding how much it's going to cost then to have a builder come in and then do some of the works. So we try and keep it comprehensive, so you know, you're informed, you know what you need to do and ask for. After that, it's simple. Put the order in, we go through the cosmetic selections, we work out what sort of doors, you know, are in keeping with the rest of the house. So we can try and, you know, not only customise for the person's needs, but also about the decor. Right. So we have a look at that. The order gets put in. Most of the time we can supply a lift, say, in a 6-week period, 6 to 8 weeks. We're in and we're either craning them in or pulling them apart and putting them back together.
Aussie Lifts, fabulous company.
Thanks, David, for that uplifting story. What do you do if one day, through accident or illness, you find yourself in a wheelchair? If you've always been the kind of person who enjoys being an active part of your community, how do you continue to do so with this change in your circumstances? This is the situation that Rebecca Bellis found herself in, and when I spoke with Rebecca recently, she was eager to share her experiences and what she's learned that's helped her on her journey. Rebecca, you found yourself in a wheelchair as a result of cancer and a stroke a few years ago. How has that experience been for you?
It's been pretty traumatic, pretty emotionally difficult, both mentally and physically exhausting and very trying on myself and my family. Put them through an awful lot with that in my recovery. While rehab was really very good, learning about different equipment and especially my electric wheelchair has been a real blessing in my life. At the present, I've just received a grant that's enabled me to get a carrier on the back of my car, and that too has enriched my life even more. It's been a very slow but long recovery.
I'd imagine that public transport is something that people in wheelchairs wouldn't even consider.
Well, Kathy, I didn't either, because I was unable to get to a lot of my medical appointments and a lot of social things in the community that were there for people with disabilities, because I didn't have transport. And then I ended up catching the bus one day, and it wasn't just an experience for myself, it was also an experience for the people on the bus.
Rebecca, how have you found out about the kinds of services that are available in the community and through government organisations?
I found out by word of mouth, by talking to people much like myself.
Has this process also made you more aware of what levels of service you can expect and what your rights are?
Yes and no, because it's made me aware of the services that aren't there more than the services that are there, and the difficulty in accessing services, the amount of paperwork and things like that. I am very grateful for people's experiences rather than a piece of paper given to me to read and fill out and hand back.
How did you learn to ask the bus driver to lower the bus to the curb?
Swallowing my pride and forgetting my vanity. Most people see somebody in a wheelchair, especially my size, and say, isn't it a shame she's to this or to that, she has to get around in a wheelchair. If she didn't smoke, she wouldn't have oxygen. I've never smoked in my life. So you have to excuse people's ignorances, forgive them, and be tolerant and get over your own prejudice as well.
Rebecca, your journey has enabled you to uncover a lot of information about services and support systems that are available to people in wheelchairs. What's your advice to others in your situation?
Many people that are out there that are looking at the resources that are available in written form and things like that, and they're very hard to understand. But when somebody sits down with you over a cup of coffee and shares their experience, you sure do understand, and you get the point very quick.
Earlier in the program, we spoke with Yvonne Campbell and we touched briefly on her range of adaptive clothing. Following that interview, I spoke with Yvonne about her business, SpecialCare Clothing Solutions. And if you have a loved one who experiences difficulty or pain while being dressed, Yvonne has the solution. Yvonne, your line of clothing, SpecialCare Clothing Solutions, offers a unique adaptive solution for people with limited mobility. What makes it different from other lines of clothing?
Well, Kathy, I realised that people can't go into the store and buy off-the-shelf clothing when their joints are limited with mobility. When your joints are stiff, particularly in the arms, and people cannot lift to get into clothing normally, there has to be another way. Now this looks as though it's normal, all the way, as if it's going to open all the way down. Try to make the design as normal as possible, but it actually only opens to here. It opens at the back. This is a perfect example of the design. This one is the same design as that, looking like it's opening like a blouse normally does, but at the back it opens this way. Secured by tiny little studs that go perfectly through the facility laundry, and it can be then drawn on from the front, so they're not having to lift their arms to get up and go round. And then it's just folded over at the back, as you see, and it's clipped up. So,
apart from ease of opening with those few press studs, what are the other advantages to having this particular design?
the advantages can be if anybody has had a stroke, and again, limited with mobility. So it's for anybody that has difficulty getting into any kind of clothing, whether it be a dress, whether it be the men getting into any kind of shirts. The men, we do a men's nightshirt, we do the ladies' nightshirts as well. But again, it has the opening at the back.
Carers must love this.
They do love it because even of a night time, there's no need to undress or take off pyjamas or anything else. It makes it really easy to change. They just roll them over, change them and fold it back, and everybody's happy.
And the fabrics are easy care?
As far as the fabrics are concerned, I make sure that I buy all these fabrics here in Australia. The manufacturing is done here in Australia as well, and I make sure that the fabric will go through the facility laundry because I realise that the facility laundries are really tough on the treatment of clothing. So we have to be very careful with our design.
I'm intrigued by this all-in-one jumpsuit-like creation.
That's right. What happens with that one, this is to actually help prevent people that like to undress, because that does happen sometimes. People get irritated by their clothing and they need to take it off. The idea of this is it does have the zip at the back, and that actually prevents that happening. It has the top and the bottom. This one is actually in a cotton sports fabric, which is a very breathable fabric, and the cotton is next to the skin. We also do them in a two-tone. So for day wear, you can have a different top to the trouser. People, the nursing staff absolutely love them because they do keep people dry at night and they don't have to change them that often.
You've thought about a lot of different aspects that will suit people who are either aged or perhaps have dementia, joint pain, stroke. There's so many purposes for this type of clothing.
There most definitely is, and I've worked a lot with the nursing homes themselves so that I understand what the carer needs and what's going to be benefit. My whole purpose of the clothing is for dignity as well as comfort. And because you're in a nursing home doesn't mean that you have to get something oversized just to make it easy to get dressed. I've often heard people call and they say, you know, oh, they say My mother's only a medium, but I really need to get a large or an extra large. In this case, that's not necessary because, as you see, it just comes on from the front as long as it fits nicely across the shoulders. That's all that matters because this is open. There's no restrictions.
How do people get in contact with you?
I am online. I do have a website where you can actually order online, or they can call me on 1300 780 755 for personal contact. I can talk them through any of the products, any of the designs, and help them make a decision as to whether it's what they want or not. And also, I don't ask them specifically to pay up front. I'm quite happy to send them the product for them to have a look at it. And then if they like it, an invoice is in there and they can pay the invoice.
Thank you, Yvonne Campbell from SpecialCare Clothing Solutions.
Thank you for your time, Kathy.
Well, that brings us to the end of this, our first program. We hope that you found the information provided during this program of benefit to you as a person with a disability, a senior, or as a family member or carer. Please take time to visit our website, carecentral.tv, where you'll be able to watch the interviews and stories featured here online whenever you like.
In Australia, there are over 4.8 million Australians that have some form of a disability. That's 1 in 5 people. Of that, 34% have a musculoskeletal disability and 450,000 people have an intellectual or developmental disorder. To care for these people, there are 2.8 million carers in Australia. While 68% of these carers are aged 15 years and over and are the primary carer, 290,000 have a disability themselves. When faced with a disability or changing condition, can carers access vital information from a central point? The answer is no. Until now.
We've been having a really hard time of lately and we don't know where to access services.
One of the problems being in a wheelchair is being able to find a wheelchair maxi.
My son is 2.5. He has gross motor delays with his development.
My mum's had an accident and she's now confined to a wheelchair.
I know I need help, but I don't know where to get help or what I'm eligible for. Where do I go to get some information?
I want to get in the workforce. So, what are my options?
Black and white maxi taxi can be ordered in 3 ways: by phone, by a free app, or online.
It's really important for our people to be a part of society, and there's somewhat of a misconception that people with disability take from society. We encourage them to give back.
By working collaboratively with support services, community providers and employment services, we've been able to put people that are identified with disability into traineeships.
So at Sporting Wheelies we have a link-up service. You don't need to be a member to access this service. Basically you can come in, you can find out exactly what the association provides.
The biggest things that we have in relation to people of any sort needing help is that you don't know where to go and you don't know where to find it. Now you do.
SpecialCare Central is a web and media-based information centre designed to put carers, disabled people, suppliers and government agencies in touch with each other. It has a database cross-referenced in both internet and video-based information services.
I'd like to congratulate SpecialCare Central for the great work they're doing in respect of providing a reference centre for people out in the community about the range of services for people with healthcare needs, aged care needs, disability support needs, etc. This is a great reference and indeed a helpful way for all people in our community to access the services at the right time in the right place that suits their environment and their support needs.
SpecialCare Central is producing a program that will be 30 minutes in duration and broadcast nationally on free-to-air television and available online. It will contain products, services and general information of interest. Sponsorship opportunities can be in the form of graphics, commercials, advertorials, SpecialCare Central is an exciting new information-based program with national and international reach of your product. Contact SpecialCare Central to get more information. Search for SpecialCare Central online or go to www.specialcarecentral.com.au. We look forward to talking with you.